Support WrestleTalk!
Hello and welcome to this WrestleTalk Reactive News. I'm Ollie Davis. I'm joined by
Chopper Pete Quinnell. Hello.
And we probably have one of the biggest wrestling stories of the decade that has unfolded late yesterday, early this morning.
This is absolutely crazy because the Wall Street Journal, of all things...
That's a real newspaper.
Yeah. That's like a really big deal. This isn't like a WrestleTalk.com or...
Hey, that's a real newspaper.
That's a real news page, but this is massive. Yeah. This is huge mainstream stuff. The WWE board is investigating a secret $3 million settlement between Vince McMahon and a former employee he allegedly had an affair with. The employee was apparently left the company in January 2022, so earlier this year. Been there since 2019 as a paralegal, and the separation agreement apparently bars her from talking about this relationship with Vince McMahon, but this has now been uncovered, and now this is under investigation by the WWE board.
It's your classic scummy NDA. You know, whenever there's an NDA, you're like, well, that's a lot of smoke. A lot of smoke, and maybe there is a little bit of a ember in there, or maybe the whole freaking house is burning down. This is very serious stuff. So the board of directors are investigating Vince McMahon. Wrestling Observer Radio have added to these reports saying that this investigation only really started on Sunday. And my first thought, I thought, surely he means Monday. Who starts this investigation on the Lord's Day of Rest? For more clarification, the board of directors is 12 people. They are at the tippity top of WWE. It's not like a wrestler has leaked this report to the Wall Street Journal.
No.
It's not like someone in middle management, like a Bruce Pritchard, has leaked this information. Really, you've got to look at the people who would have been aware of this very new investigation, and you can kind of put it to the room where it happened. The board of directors, these 12 people, one of which is Vince McMahon. So I'm pretty sure we can rule him out as a potential leaker. We're looking at 11 people here.
Yeah.
If that's where the leakers come from.
It's absolutely insane because you say that the investigation started this prior weekend, according to Wrestling Observer. Well, according to Wall Street Journal, this investigation started in April, so it's been going on for a couple of months already. I don't know who's correct here, but they're saying that they've actually unearthed, as part of this since April, there's more of these non-disclosure agreements that have been unearthed. Not just from Vince McMahon, but also John Laurinaitis, who's the head of talent relations currently in WWE as well.
He was a very controversial rehire. He's someone that was only brought back last year, and that was not a popular move with the wrestlers, specifically at the time, the female wrestlers. Not just because he has a somewhat archaic, I believe that was Sean Ross Sapp's term for it, view of what a female wrestler should be, aka, well, a fitness model more than a wrestler. Yeah. There's also some sort of murkiness there in just the way he interacts with people, and certainly that's what's come up in this alleged misconduct suit.
Yeah, there's a new report from Fightful Select saying on the subject of Laurinaitis, one anonymous female WWE talent currently said, "I'd rather get all my sent to me in a trash bag when I get fired than have to deal with him, and neither are good options."
I mean, looking at this, it's Laurinaitis and McMahon who are alleged to have had a relationship with this paralegal woman. That is already ethically difficult because of the boss-employee relationship. A lot of companies ban those relationships from happening. Yeah, I believe, wasn't it the McDonald's head of McDonald's who was recently done for having a consensual, I believe, relationship with an employee, someone underneath him, because it's always hard to say there's nothing else at play there. I would call it unprofessional. Yeah, and especially because we can quite clearly see, as part of this Wall Street Journal report, there is very tangible benefits that the paralegal received because she was hired on a $100,000 salary, which then increased to a $200,000 salary after they began a sexual relationship, reportedly. That's not a good look for Vince's defense, because Jerry McDivitt, who is the lawyer, not just for WWE, but in a very weird way, is also Vince McMahon's personal lawyer. I believe that's not a normal situation for most companies. You don't have the same person representing both entities. Anyway, that's been the case for decades. That's nothing new. But the idea was that the defense is that it's a consensual relationship. Okay. that, you know, there's nothing. It's icky, but there's nothing that's broken the law if it is consensual.
Yep.
And their defense is that the $3 million paid, they're not denying that was paid in $1 million upfront installment and $2 million over the next couple of years. That is from Vince McMahon's personal money.
Yes.
It's not company funds. That's their defense, which is, you know, unfortunately, in this world, a solid defense. Where it gets interesting, though, is that $100,000 raise, which is company money. Yes. I'm sure they're just going to say, well, she was very good at her job and we gave her a raise.
Yeah.
But it's an awkward, coincidental thing for a jury or a trial to look at.
Exactly, yeah. There's a couple more quotes on this as well. It alleges that McMahon gave her like a toy to Laurinaitis, and the email that was leaked to this board of directors said this apparently has come from a close friend of this paralegal who's kind of raised this in the first place. Is saying that my friend was so scared, so she quit after Vince McMahon and lawyer Jerry paid her millions of dollars to shut up.
Yes. The idea is, following this, there are multiple instances. You've already said this. The investigation's been going on for a few months, apparently. Now that this has become public, it now enters a whole new realm of scandal.
Yeah.
Because there are quite a few publicly known allegations against Vince McMahon like this in the past, and he has sailed through them, whether he be innocent or whether it just be a different time with different standards. Does this sort of stuff fly in the court of public opinion in a post-Me Too age? I doubt it. So, you think... Usually the rule is, well, if you've been caught doing one thing, you've probably been doing it at least twice the amount behind the scenes and not been caught. So are more people going to come forward? That's usually the pattern for this sort of story. And now they've got quite a... I'm not saying they do it for monetary gain, but there's now a price tag there. And Dave Meltzer referenced this. This is what a lot of people are saying to him. Well, there's $3 million as your general price tag here.
Yeah.
If you've got a similar story, it would be, I would imagine that would compel more people to come forward.
Potentially, yeah. I honestly have no idea what's going to happen from here in terms of the public perception of this, how it's going to be handled, because there's been other, you know, high-profile things happening with the McMahons in WWE recently. You know, Stephanie McMahon recently took her leave of absence, which a lot of people have opinions on. And as part of this, apparently, if this investigation did start in April, Stephanie McMahon would have been aware of the investigation happening before she took her leave of absence. And this is purely speculation on my part, but maybe that has something to do with this leave of absence that she's taken. We don't know that for sure, but it's compelling evidence, I'd say.
I mean, there's also, can Vince survive this?
Yeah.
I would say, unfortunately, cynically, yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think, if I look at this as a political move, how you deal with this catastrophe, Laurinaitis takes the fall. He's the bad apple.
Yep.
Get rid of him. And then Vince is like, we learn from our mistakes, move forward. Or, you know, he says it's a consensual relationship. Company money wasn't used.
Yeah.
The only way I can see this really affecting him, because it's not just like he's the top boss. He also owns all the shares, really. He can't be shareholder voted out. I believe that the board can do a vote of no confidence.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that means he has to resign. So, what could change it? I think if a Fox or an NBC, so some force of external pressure, but the only way I can see Vince being booted here.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. I think there has to be some sort of external pressure, because when there's stuff internally, you know, historically speaking, when there's been some sort of controversy within WWE, stuff that people don't like inside of it, they kind of just brush to one side. It's when other people get involved from outside, that's when they influence it. The main thing that I can think of off the top of my head is when they had the Fabulous Moolah Battle Royal, and they were just going to keep it as is because, the fans are complaining, doesn't really matter. People internal are complaining, doesn't really matter. Snickers were going to pull their sponsorship from it and they go, now we have to take action. When they had stuff on the line and stakes and relationships outside the company that were going to be jeopardized, that's when they took action. So maybe if other forces, like you say, get involved, that will be the trigger for it.
Very briefly, fascinatingly, just to wrap things up, this isn't the only lawsuit Vince is facing personally.
Yeah.
Well, no, sorry, this isn't a lawsuit yet. Right. It's sort of the investigation plus this lawsuit. The Oliver Luck stuff has taken another turn.
Goodness me. So this is regarding the XFL, which obviously was the second time that it's been tried to go. But they had a lawsuit between former XFL Commissioner Oliver Luck and Vince McMahon, and they're headed to trial now because they tried to have settlement talks, which lasted 9 minutes before they completely fizzled out. So Luck was suing...
Fizzled out? That sounds like the
fizzled
sort
out.
of thing that explodes.
Yes, absolutely. I don't think this was pleasant. Luck is suing McMahon for $23.8 million in compensation from his XFL contract. Apparently, McMahon had provided him a guarantee that he'd be paid, which didn't
personal
happen.
guarantee.
Yeah. And McMahon has now countersued Oliver Luck as well, alleging that Alpha Entertainment, who was the larger thing for XFL, incurred damages of over $572,000 as a result of Luck breaching his contract and duty. So there's a trial date set for July 11th, but you're assuming that with that breach of contract would then that would then influence the guarantee that McMahon had made him potentially, so he wouldn't have to pay that. I don't know. It's murky.
So just taking on that alone is stressful. Add on this investigation as well. It's gotta just be absolutely chaotic backstage in WWE right now. Although Wrestling Observer Radio said things are gonna be business as usual.
Yep.
Hopefully not the sort of alleged business as usual.
No.
But this weekend, Friday's SmackDown, it's just everyone's going to be there as normal.
Yep.
Talent have been informed via a message on their internal app, and it was just, we take allegations seriously. We're investigating it.
Yeah, and that's pretty much all we've got right now. This is absolutely insane. I genuinely, I don't know what else to make of this, but I don't think you're exaggerating when you say this might be the biggest news story of the decade, because this could have severe knock-on effects for WWE and its entire future. We have no idea how this is going to play.
I think ultimately WWE emerges bruised but survives. Vince McMahon is the big question mark here.
Yeah.
And then the question becomes, what does WWE look like without Vince McMahon?
Yeah, my goodness. That thing that people have speculated about and talked about in hushed tones for like 20 years at this point. What happens after Vince goes? Maybe that time is upon us soon.
Well, let us know what you think's going to happen down in the comments below. We'll have the AEW review and more news up shortly with our usual format, but we just had to get this out as soon as possible, really. Hope you understand. But for now, I've been Ollie Davis.
I'm Chopper Pete Quinnell.
Jam that jam.